What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going to be previewing the 2025 AFL trade period and free agency period. It's obviously going to be a massive part of the year. It's the most talked about part of the year. There's trades galore, there's names thrown around everywhere, there's potentials, hypotheticals, and you name it, everything is on the table when it comes to the trade period. And for Port Adelaide in particular, it doesn't look like it's going to be the most significant of trade periods, but it's definitely going to be one that will shape our list, and one that I think there's still some very capable targets to get, and hopefully we can hold on to the cattle that we have. Obviously, the talk of Zach Butters and everything like that will range right throughout the trade period, and I think we're all a little bit on edge about it. To me, in particular, the trade period this year seems almost too straightforward for Port Adelaide, and I'm skeptical on what could be a possibility, but at the same time, I'm very excited to see what we can bring in. So let's get straight into it and let's preview the 2025 trade period for Port Adelaide. Okay, straight off the bat, we know the targets that we're after. We know the ones we're going to be acquiring throughout this period, and I think it's definitely going to be a pretty straightforward strategy. And as I mentioned, Zach Butters is a do not trade. That is the first thing I've written down here. It's do not trade Zach Butters on any circumstances. Do not succumb to peer pressure and media pressure that is out and about at the moment. Port Adelaide should do it to get the greatest capital, or Port Adelaide should do this. He's a restricted free agent at the end of next year. We can match any bid and we can force a trade. It'll happen, and I can lock that in. I would lock it in anyway, and I hope the club does as well. You will get more capital and better capital next year if you were to trade Zach Butters, but that is an if. My whole thing here is we should not trade Zach Butters. He should be locked in at Port Adelaide. And I understand if his decision-making process isn't until next year, that's fine. But we've got a lot to showcase. There's a lot of things that can come out of what's been happening at the club. Great off-season recruits in the coach's box, the biggest of them all, Stuart Dew, and that's not a pun. But I genuinely think we have something really positive building at Port, and then new changes, new outlook, and everything, and it's going to be fantastic. New footy boss to come in as well, and I think that is the essential to Zach Butters' decision making next year, is what happens on the field. Now, our targets for this period in time will be Jacob Wehr, Will Brody, and Braden Fiorini. Fiorini being probably the biggest target of them all, with his capabilities as being an inside midfielder, but also being a reinvigorated wingman that he's been through over the last 12 months at Gold Coast, obviously playing in a very successful side that won a final this year, and has really found his touch and really been an integral part of their side. And they won't want to let him go. And we know that Fiorini's manager Liam Pickering has been in talks with Port, and at the moment doesn't really know where it all stands. But I think with the vision, a new coach, a new outlook, a guaranteed start in the side, and we know that because Boak won't be out there and everything, Fiorini has, I think, a lot more level of optimism for Port. Obviously, Essendon have been targeting him, and we know that they've got a new... They're pretty similar in terms of they have a new their CEO and president and everything like that, and they're wanting to create change at the club, and we'll probably get the similar opportunities there too, but depends where he wants to go. Does he want to go to SA, does he want to go to Vic, or does he want to stay in the Suns? It's completely up to him, but I would love to see him, and if there's a trade for it, I would probably suggest we'll probably send our second round pick that we have, which will probably be in the mid-30s, which will probably get it done. It's not the strongest draft, so we might have to fork out a few more, but we'll see on that one. But I think Fiorini is in a percentage of, compared to the other two that I'm about to mention, probably around a 60-70% of joining Port. I think Josh Carr is really adamant on getting Fiorini to the club, so I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out and what we can do to lock him in at Port and definitely be a decent deal and a decent time period at Port Adelaide. The next option is a Will Brody. We know he's going to be joining Port. Pretty straightforward trade, I feel. Has played 3 games in 5 years. Has been, ever since he has had a standout year when Josh Carr was at the club. He hasn't been really seen since, and I think Will Brody is a lot better than people put out to be. And, I don't want to disrespect Will in any way. It's obviously a big deal for Port if we do get him, because I think opportunity and great chances, especially knowing Josh Carr. And you've got to really look into these things. You can't just look at the name and go, he's a nobody. on the surface level, maybe, but with Will, we're going to get him for a packet of chips, and we've seen some cases where a packet of chips in the trade have turned out to be absolutely phenomenal pickups, and I definitely feel like he could be one that eventuates. So pretty straightforward. I expect this to be done pretty early on in the trade period, because I feel like Fremantle want to have bigger fish to fry, and obviously we'll be diving into the Fiorini stuff and everything like that. So play what by hand. This could also be done very late, and the bigger trades could be done, but I expect this to be done early and for bugger all, which will be nice. The third pickup will be Jacob Wehr, and he's a free agent, and he will be a straightforward pickup. I'd almost expect this to be done on the first day on Friday, because I feel like he's one that has nominated early. It's a pretty straightforward. GWS don't particularly see him in the future. Port have seen a certain asset in him that could be essential, and is a depth player, no doubt, but definitely, again, the packet of chips option. I've seen Jacob play really good footy, and I feel like he could be an essential part of what we're building. And he's not going to be as important as the big names, etc., but could really play a crucial role. And I strongly believe that he's a great product, and could definitely definitely suit our game style and what Josh Carr wants to bring going forward. So definitely look forward to seeing him at the club. Obviously, when it comes to trade period and players' names being thrown up, their value is thrown in a lot more than what they possibly are, and vice versa. Maybe their names aren't as valuable as some may see, but when the players get playing and things start to eventuate, I feel like Jacob could be a point that he could definitely prove. And this whole feel around the club at the moment has that 2013 vibe of pick up some players that could be role players, crucial to the side and depth. And we saw that in 2013. We played a semi-final with the likes of Campbell Heath and Lewis Stevenson. These types of players we picked up for bugger all, and ended up having an essential part in the side that year. So I'm looking forward to what those three in particular can bring. And yeah, I think overall, from a trades point of view, I don't expect us to be as involved per se, but I definitely feel like there's going to be chances where we do trade picks to build for next year. We've seen the rules come out for the NGA academies and the draft picks and everything like that, and matching bids and everything, and I expect us to have probably some sort of role to play in switching draft picks, maybe getting some capital and really building for next year, and possibly even grabbing delisted free agents and players that are no longer on a list, but are opportunities that could be presented to them. One in particular that I've read a lot of rumours about is Harrison Lemmy, who was delisted from the Blues at the end of the year. So I definitely feel there's a lot of opportunities here, and I don't feel like, and on the other end of the scale, there's particularly anything we'll do in terms of trading players. I know players have been thrown out there like an Ollie Lord and etc. like that, but I think the way we'll want to do is we've done all of that. We've done the getting rid of players. We've delisted all the baggage. We've unfortunately had retirements with Rioli and Boak, and that's freed up space. That's freed up opportunity. And I think now we've got that list. We've got the core we want to build into 2026, and we'll just add to that. We'll add depth. We'll add players that may play a role at our club and didn't get an opportunity at the other previous clubs that we're at. So it's going to be an interesting time, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what we do and the strategy. We've kept our cards very close to our chest building into the trade period. A lot of big names have probably overshadowed a lot of what we could do, but yeah, I'm very excited, and it's going to be interesting, and looking forward to everything. So to summarise all that, we're going to get Jacob Wehr, we're going to get Will Brody, we probably will get Braden Fiorini, and we definitely should not trade Zach Butters. That is my wrap up. That is my preview of the trade period, and looking forward to everything that we do going into this trade period. Throughout the time, I will produce individual videos for the players we do pick up to see what they can bring to Port Adelaide and go a bit more in depth from there. But as an overlook and as what I expect from this club, it's going to be a pretty straightforward trade period, and I'm looking forward to everything that we do. So make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Port Adelaide and AFL content to come your way across the trade period. The Glass Table will be doing specials for the trade period, so follow around for that. Make sure you check out our 100th episode as well. It's been a greatly appreciative ride so far, and plenty more to come from JT and I from the glass table. So check that out as well. But overall, stay tuned. A lot more to come. Subscribe to the channel. We are nearly 6,000 subscribers, which will be exceptional. And I'm very, very grateful, and thank you very much for your support this year as well. So tune in. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Anthony, and as always, count the pair.